Hey you, welcome. So, meet your mind, the art and science of meditation. This is why you're here, to really understand what is meditation. Yeah, let's debunk some myths. As the Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. And the Buddha really cracked the code when it came to meditation and understanding our mind. Although the world has changed dramatically since the Buddha walked the face of the earth 2,500 years ago, our mind is pretty much still the same. Now, welcome to your own mind. It's a place where a lot of us live our entire life, yet we've never truly explored it. Now, this session invites you to finally get acquainted with your remarkable landscape that's between your ears. We'll explore what meditation truly is and what it's not. By the end, you'll really understand a lot more about how to meditate and what not to do, and then we'll have a brief guided meditation experience at the end. Okay, meditation isn't what you think it is. Now, I've had the privilege of teaching hundreds of thousands of people meditation, and a lot of people have so many misconceptions about meditation, and a lot of people really think, I'll say, oh, why don't you meditate? They're like, oh, I don't have time, or I'm too busy, or every time I sit down, my mind is just like a box of mice just got emptied out onto the floor and it just goes everywhere. Or I meditate when I'm cycling, or I go to the gym. Meditation is not cycling, running, surfing. It puts us into flow state when we do these things, and that is an incredible stepping stone in meditation, where we enter into this ability to focus on one thing, to be in the present moment, and that is the beginning stages when we get deeper into meditation. So those physical elements, while they're not truly meditation, they do have the elements that will take us into meditation. So if you do like physical activities like running, surfing, cycling, anything that puts you into flow state, meditation's ideal for you, because you already enjoy getting into those states using the physical body. And what we do in meditation is, really use our mind to get us there. Now, when I first started to meditate, I remember the first thing I did was sit cross-legged on the floor, and I thought meditation was trying to get a blank mind. And if any of you have tried that experience, you will know that it's a pretty horrific one. It's like really uncomfortable for the hips, painful on the back. The mind definitely does not go blank. And, while sitting in lotus position is a meditation posture for certain people, for 99.9% of the rest of the world, sitting in a chair, sitting somewhere comfortable so we can really focus the mind will be much more beneficial. And it is not about emptying your mind. In the beginning, we are working on focus and concentration, because the mind has just been programmed and is always being programmed from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we go to bed. And what we do in meditation is learn how to just stop the mind from wandering and jumping and thinking and generating, and start to get more one-pointed, more centered, more stable and calm. And it's just so beneficial when we do it. It's really about witnessing, and that's when we truly step into meditation, when we can witness the mind thinking and detach from the stories that the mind generates, the old experiences, the future projections that the mind wanders into, the constant distractions. And when we just sit and watch the mind, we're like, oh, my mind's jumping to the past, it's jumping to the future. Just by us simply observing, we become the witness of the mind. So we're stepping out to be the witness or the observer, which is really where true meditation starts. Like if you think of a Hollywood movie scene, and that's your mind. It has all these different characters, all these different sets, all these different scenes, and you're the lead character basically. And as soon as you just go, okay, I'm just going to watch instead of be in it, that is how we'd start to meditate, where we just watch the mind. And really, one of the most important things is to watch it without judgment. Okay. And we watch it. We watch the feelings. We see without becoming attached. And even just observing what arises is just so healthy and beneficial for us. It's a chance for us to organize our mind, and you'll understand why this is so important a bit later on. Okay, from doing to being, the art of witnessing. Most of us spend our lives in perpetual motion, doing, achieving, planning, worrying. Meditation begins the moment we consciously shift from this constant doing to simply being. Yeah? Remember, we are human beings. You've probably heard this before, but we've become so busy that we're human doings. We have all these like micro little multitasks that we have to do on a daily basis, and it just puts us into just never-ending task mode, especially if you're busy and you have a family, or you're working, you're a professional. It's non-stop. Like, with our phones, literally it is non-stop. It just keeps coming. So that is one of the biggest things we start to do, is just literally allow ourselves just to be. Like, when's the last time you allowed yourself just to sit and be without a checklist, without something to do? Now, that is so beneficial. When we sit, we pause, yeah, and we turn our attention inwards. We become the silent witness to our experience. We observe our breath, thoughts, sensations, and emotions without judgment or too much interference. There's a great quote from Byron Katie, and it's "Don't believe everything you think." And that's one of the gifts about meditation, where you can stop and watch the mind and observe that you don't have to engage with all of the thoughts, because I don't know about you, but some of my thoughts are kind of wild, and I know don't engage with them. Don't energize those thoughts. Don't interact with them. You're like, oh, okay, witness. Yep, no judgment. This witnessing perspective is perhaps the greatest gift of meditation. The ability to separate ourselves from the endless stream of thoughts that often drives our lives. Yeah, that's really what we're doing. We're stepping out and just allowing ourselves to find a little bit of peace, clarity, and stillness. And you can choose to get addicted to peace, or you can choose to be addicted to the busyness and the chaos. And your mind's just listening. You choose. So one of my most famous studies, and now there's over 15,000 positive research studies on meditation. This is just one key one that came out of Harvard from Daniel Wagner. So the white polar bear experiment, this is slightly different, but basically we're going to do it now. What I would love for you to do is just look at the white polar bear. Yeah, so take your time and just stare at the white polar bear on the screen, and just drop your gaze onto it, like maybe his nose, and then just keep your gaze there. Now, without moving the gaze, just watch, take in the image as much as you possibly can. And then I would love for you just to close your eyes and hold a picture of the polar bear in your mind's eye. Yeah, just try and hold it there. If you're not visual, just imagine you're good at visualization. Imagine that white polar bear, eyes are closed, nice and relaxed. Okay, awesome. Now slowly open your eyes. Now, what happened? Were you able to hold the picture of the polar bear in your mind's eye for the whole time? Probably not. Probably the mind wandered, your mind came back to the polar bear, thought came in, got distracted, felt some sensation, came back to the polar bear. Yeah, that's generally what happens. Okay, now I would like you to look at the polar bear again and really lock your gaze onto the polar bear again, and just take like 30 seconds to a minute. When they did this study, it was slightly different for a much longer period of time. I just want to illustrate and show you the power of your mind, okay? So really just harness your mind right now in this moment. Great, now close your eyes again. Now this time we're going to do something different. I would like you to let your mind wander. Don't consciously engage in thought, just let your mind wander. And the only thing that you're not allowed to do is think about a white polar bear. Yep, so don't think about the white polar bear. Whatever you do, just don't think about white polar bear. Oh, okay, that's enough. Slowly open your eyes and tell me what happened. Now, I don't know about you, but in the case study, the people who were told not to think about the white polar bear ended up thinking about the white polar bear a lot, like to the point where some of them were actually obsessing over this white polar bear. And, you know, Carl Jung said it best: what we resist persists. So what they found from this study, what Daniel Wagner's group found, was that the mind, the untrained mind anyway, wanders approximately every 3 to 5 seconds. It just, like, you have a thought, it wanders, and that is just what happens when we're meditating. When we're focusing on anything, your mind naturally wanders every 3 to 5 seconds. What they didn't realize, though, was that when you try to resist something, so when you're trying to suppress a thought, yeah, so if you're sitting in meditation and your experience of what you perceive meditation to be is sitting cross-legged on the floor having a blank mind, and when a thought comes up you try to suppress it or block it out, well, guess what happens? Yeah, more thoughts come because we're trying to suppress it. So this is one of the key findings of this study. And the other third thing that they found was that the mind naturally gravitates back to the object that it originally focused on. So we did the white polar bear for like a minute. We anchored our attention in. Even if the mind wanders frequently, it will naturally gravitate back towards the object of meditation. So remember, mind wandering every 3 to 5 seconds means you're actually doing meditation. It's the first steps in meditation. However, because no one teaches us this, you know, often my students have said to me, oh, I'm so happy you told me that because I thought I was bad at meditating because my mind kept wandering. No, that's the initial stages of meditation. You're doing it correctly. All right. Now we have the iceberg. Yeah, we've all seen this, I think, before. And this is the model of the mind. So we have our conscious mind, which is 5%. And this is all of our conscious thoughts, our actions, our behaviors that we're fully aware of. Then we have 95% that is subconscious, below the surface of our awareness. Now, these are habitual patterns and things, behaviors that we have learnt and locked in, like driving. Like, you can get in your car or bicycle and you can go without even thinking about it. I mean, you're on autopilot, and we've all had that experience, right? Of like zoning out and being like, oh my God, I don't remember driving like home and I'm here. Or, you know, the last 10 minutes, 20 minutes has just been like, where was I? And that is the subconscious part of the mind kicking in. Yeah. And this is really the power of where all of our belief systems come from. You know, usually what sits just below the subconscious is limiting beliefs, traumas, and automatic patterns. And that is what we do when we start to meditate. You know, think of that iceberg. That tiny tip is visible. That's the conscious mind that we can see, while that massive structure beneath the surface is 95% of what actually happens. And that's why when people are trying so hard to make change, they're like consciously say, I'm going to change, I'm going to stop the sugar, the coffee, the whatever, the cigarette, the thing. But then they find themselves habitually with the cigarette in their mouth, and like they don't even know how it got there because they've trained it, and the subconscious mind has become so good at just doing that repetitive thing that it happens without even realizing it. So that is why when we meditate, we actually go deeper below the conscious mind, and then it's much easier for us to become aware of our habits and behaviors and start to rewrite the programs. Yeah, it gradually brings the unconscious into our awareness, and over time this practice allows us to program the mind, you know, recreating things and changing the things that no longer serve us, you know, creating new neural pathways in the mind. And that's really one of the best things, because when you sit in meditation you get to watch all the negative pops up, you know, oh my God, I'm like, all these negative thoughts, all my past experiences. And most people run, but it's actually an amazing practice because you're becoming aware of what you're thinking about when you're not consciously thinking. Okay, how thoughts shape our reality. So a thought is an electrical impulse firing in a specific neural pathway. So think about, you might have seen it online, 2 neural pathways or 2 electrical impulses are firing, and then eventually they stick and they wire together. Now these create a neural pathway in the brain, and when we've done a specific repetition like driving over and over and over and over and over again, it's become so wired that you can get into a car and not think about anything because you've practiced it so many times. Now, a thought has a very specific charge. The thought will send a signal down to the body to produce a chemical response to the thought that creates a feeling. Yeah. So we get the thought, let's choose a positive one. We get the thought of someone we love. We're like, oh, we drop in, the body produces this chemical response and we start to feel those juicy feelings of love, of gratitude or compassion. Now that then becomes our action. If we feel a certain way, our behavior is driven by our emotional state. Like when you're feeling content, when you're feeling happy, when you're feeling like you're enough, then you sit in this space of not needing anything, not wanting anything, and you can just be happy in a state of not desiring, craving, or reaching to take you out of that state. And then that, when we repeat that habit, the habit then that's repeated, the action, it becomes an automatic response, like I gave you the example of driving earlier. So that is one of the biggest things I feel about meditation, you know. The neurons that fire together, wire together. That's Hebb's law. We've all heard that before. And that's why when we meditate, we're making new neural pathways. You're actually going to create new neural pathways as they fire and connect together. And then in Buddhist meditation, we train a lot of love and compassion because we want to create these states. We want to fire and wire more love, more happiness, more peace, more content. Because when we do that, we radiate this from within us. And when you're feeling those states, you're not going to be manipulated by marketing. You are not going to get pulled by the lower tendencies of us to always desire and need more and want more and never feel enough, because we've been programmed like that. Advertising and marketing spends billions every year to make us feel like we're not enough. That's why meditate, friends, you know, more incentive. Okay. Meditation physically reshapes your brain. Okay, the hippocampus builds gray matter in memory and emotion and regulates centers, improving emotional stability and recall. Now, our amygdala reduces the size of this stress and fear response center and decreasing anxiety and reactivity to stressors. The prefrontal cortex, at the front, enhances this area of responsibility, enhances this area responsible for focus, decision making, and executive function. Now, like I said, there's over 15,000 positive research studies on meditation. If you want to look at any of them and see like what ones really like spark you, you can go onto PubMed and just type in benefits of meditation, and there's literally thousands. This is just some of them where you can see by the diagram meditation before and after, our brain just starts to light up. We are better humans when we meditate. Just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, whatever you can do, you know, a minute is better than nothing. Every time you notice your mind wandering and gently return your attention to your breath or choose to focus, you literally rewire your brain. This strengthens the neuroplasticity, your brain's remarkable ability to change and adapt through your life. You know, this got debunked a long time ago, but, you know, people used to think once you hit 18 or 21, your brain just stops developing. And you can see it. People who meditate, they have different brains to people that don't. Yeah, you want to have a sharp mind. Okay, some of the benefits to inspire you a little bit more, because I'm so surprised that despite all of us wanting to have a meditation practice, and hopefully you watching this, you either have one or you would like to have one. Everybody knows meditation's healthy for us. However, 95% of people that try meditation do not stick with it because I feel they don't have the instruction like I'm giving you now to understand their mind and actually be able to meditate and be taught in a way that they have education, they have knowledge, and they can put that into practice to gain insight and wisdom. So the physical benefits: reduces stress, hormones and inflammation, lowers blood pressure and heart rate, improves sleep quality and the duration. It strengthens our immune system function. The mental and emotional benefits: it enhances clarity and cognitive function, improves emotional regulation, creates more present, authentic relationships, increases self-awareness and inner peace. Yeah, you don't need to escape your mind, you just need to meet it. Are you ready to meet your mind? Good. Okay. I'm just going to guide you through a very simple but easy meditation that you can do, and it is said to be one of the key techniques that the Buddha reached his enlightenment through. It's a technique of breath awareness, and one of the reasons I always come back to this practice is because, you know, we breathe 25,000 times a day. Most of the time we're not conscious of those breaths, and our breathing regulates all of our physiology. It's actually our greatest source of nourishment, because you can go without food for a month or two, depending on your body size, water for about a week to 2 weeks. But breath, as soon as we stop breathing, you know, within about 5 minutes, we're going to have either, well, some serious issues or death. And our breathing regulates everything. So if our breathing is off, everything is off. And the science is out on the breath as well. 95% of people breathe insufficiently or incorrectly. So when we can sit and watch the breath, the body knows the exact rhythm to breathe in. Okay, so please take a comfortable seat, and you know, I'm sitting on a chair. Ideally, you would like move to the end of the chair and have your feet flat on the floor, and your spine not touching anything. But you know, if you do want to just relax a little bit, you can do that for this as well. Now choose a point that's in front of you, about eye level, that's not moving. Take a slow, deep breath in, and just exhale through the mouth. Close the eyes. Breathe in, open the eyes and look at that one point, but this time have the eyes a little bit less open, more relaxed. And notice that when you focus your gaze on one thing and the eyes stop being dragged around or distracted or scanning too frequently, that everything slows down actually. You can feel your mind already just starting to get more one-pointed. Take a deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Close the eyes, let your whole body relax. Keep the eyes closed, and now just feel your body breathing. Bring all of your attention as smoothly and efficiently as you can to just feeling the air moving in and out through the nostrils. Use any layer of sensation to keep your mind focused on your breath, whether that be the temperature of the breath, the sensation of the breath as it moves through the nostril hairs or across the upper lip or on the edges of the nose. You might feel the breath skimming in and out, and you may feel a vibration that's caused by the breath, a tingling sensation or a pulsation. Whatever the layer of sensation, just use that as your meditation object, because when we meditate, usually the mind requires some object to rest on, and we use that as the breath. Witness if the breath is shallow and fast, or deep or smooth. Just watch. No adjusting the breath, just witnessing, just watching. And just observing when the mind may wander. And when you've experienced the mind wandering, with zero story or judgment, just efficiently guide your mind back to the practice of watching your breath. And do this in an alert state, but really relaxed with the body. So soften your eyebrows, your eyelids, your jaw. You can feel that relaxation through the facial muscles spreading through the entire body. And we keep the mind sharp and focused on the breath, but still in a fairly relaxed manner. Do your best to shorten your distraction time. So if your mind wanders and you just kind of forget to come back to the breath for, like 6 seconds, the next time the mind wanders, can you catch it at maybe 3 seconds? And then 2 seconds. And then maybe 1 second, to the point where you get so familiar with the mind that you can catch it before it wanders and just rest at the breath. Like really let your mind rest at home on your breathing. Remind yourself that your breath is your biggest companion on your life's journey, from the moment you receive your first breath to the moment you expire and experience the last breath. Your breath is always with you. Stay focused, everyone. Stay immersed in your practice. Okay, very slowly, just bring your hands up together and just gently rub your palms with your eyes closed. Cover your hands over your eyes and just palms cup the eye sockets, open the eyes in darkness. Feel the warmth, the vibration, the energy flood into the eyes as you give them some love and kindness just to rejuvenate the eyes, and then close the eyes and bring your hands down again. Now, when you open your eyes, look at the same point you started with, whatever that mark was on the wall, or whatever you chose to look at. Let your vision come back around slowly, but you root yourself at the center of all you're experiencing, and still keep a bit of an awareness on your breathing to keep us conscious and in the present moment. And as we move back out into life, we do it from a much more peaceful, grounded place, and we still keep a trace of awareness on our breathing. Okay, friends, thank you for joining the session. Your call to action. You have any questions, you want some assistance with meditation and just reshaping your mind and life, DM me, send me a message. I love having these conversations with you. Have a beautiful moment. Please share this video with anyone that you might feel would benefit from it. Much love.